Calling to order a special meeting of the Sycamore School District 427 Board of Education for Tuesday, September 30th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kelly, would you call the roll?
Michael Benito.
Here.
Christian Koppel.
Here.
Beth Marie Evans.
Here.
Alex Guidos.
Here.
Paul Regnery.
Here.
Heather Tomlinson. Here. Alan Zantut.
Present.
Quorum is present.
The board wishes to acknowledge that there was a tragedy that has affected our district and community today. One of our staff members passed away unexpectedly. Our thoughts are with their loved ones at this time. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. As a reminder, our board governs by policy aligned with state law. These policies are not guidelines, they are legal and ethical obligations that ensure transparency, accountability, and consistent leadership. When policies no longer meet the district's needs, it's our responsibility to amend them within the bounds of the law to better serve our community. The board acts only as a whole in duly convened public meetings with a quorum present. Outside of this structure, no individual member has authority. Adherence to policy protects the district from risk and ensures that all decisions are fair, lawful, and aligned with our strategic goals. Our mission is to empower all learners to succeed in their world. Our vision is to provide an ideal learning experience where students and staff are engaged and want to come back the next day. Our board policies and actions should reflect that mission and vision. First item on our agenda is student and staff recognition. At every meeting, the board looks to take time to recognize outstanding achievement and work that embodies the district's mission and vision, along with model behaviors that make a portrait of a Spartan. A portrait of a Spartan is made up of 8 dispositions: responsible, confident, flexible thinkers, collaborative, empathetic, effective communicators, problem solvers, and resilient. At this time, we're making progress towards a nomination structure for student and staff recognition. There's no information to report. At this point in time, we'll move on to the audience to visitors section. Guided by board policy 2230 and the Illinois Open Meetings Act, this is a business meeting held in public. The 7 of us seated here are your neighbors, volunteers entrusted by you to care for our schools. We're truly grateful that you've chosen to spend a portion of your evening with us. To balance participation with the board's agenda, we've reserved up to 30 minutes for public comment. Each speaker is asked to limit remarks to 3 minutes. Unused time may be transferred to another person. Any extension requires a majority vote of the board. When you're recognized, please approach the podium, state your name, share your thoughts. The board will listen without debate this evening. Questions or concerns, when called for, will be routed through the appropriate administrative channels for follow-up, consistent with our chain of command procedures. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand and wait to be called. Would anyone like to address the board at this time? Seeing no one, we'll move forward to the next item on the agenda. Discussion of the leadership profile. At this time, we're joined by our team from Hazard Young Etienne Associates to share with us the results of the leadership profile. You guys have the floor. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Tonight we are honored to be able to present to you the leadership profile. When we spoke to you And even in our proposal, it was the cornerstone of our search process, is engaging with your stakeholders and seeking, thank you, um, seeking feedback. We were very impressed with the responses on the quantitative survey. We got approximately 449 responses, and we even had some very tenacious stakeholders who emailed our central office with more comments to make sure that we received all of them. We thoroughly enjoyed speaking to each one of you as a board member and getting to know you and getting to know your why. Incredibly impressed with what you bring to this board and how you serve the students in your community. We conducted focus groups. We visited every school. So we're able to be in every building and sense what a true community is like. So it's days like today where you count on your community. And so Carrie and I's heart was pulled today when we found out about the tragedy, because it is an all-in community. The pride is felt and it's heard in every corner of your building and every stakeholder and every constituent. And that is something that is unique and very special to Sycamore. We are privileged to be able to have that opportunity. We're going to go over first the quantitative results. So Carrie's going to talk about the survey, and then we're also going to present the qualitative. Now, keep in mind, this is at the aggregate level, the feedback from the respondents that came to all of these focus groups. And so it's just a reflection of those that attended those focus groups. And so by no means are any opinions, it's just feedback from constituents. So without further ado, Carrie's going to talk about the survey.
And it was a true pleasure getting to know your school district up close and personal. And your stakeholders are very passionate about Sycamore and the school district. The survey, as you know, was open for approximately two weeks, and as Lynn stated, we had about 450, actually 449 people participate. Now, you might think that's a low number, and it is for surveys, but this is average for schools in the surveys that we do. I always tell school boards that you can almost take it as a backwards compliment if you have people knocking down doors to get to surveys to fill out, to share about the school district. They're eager usually because they have a concern and they're frustrated. We were pleased with the numbers, especially as you can see on the slide. 281 parents participated in the survey. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight the points that stick out. Lynn and I are going to be using the survey very much to continue to shape what we're looking for in candidates, and to inform candidates as well, because as we share with you before, we want to make sure you get to know everything about the candidates that we recommend to you to consider. But we also want the candidate to know everything possible about the school district, because we need that ideal fit. We don't want any surprises for either party come July, come August, sometime next year. So question two, they were given 20 statements, and we asked on the survey, do you strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree? Basic Likert scale. We use typically an even scale because we force people to one side or the other. On a regular survey, you might see odd numbers. There's always a safe landing place in the middle. That really doesn't tell us, and so we force people to go one way or the other. And the overall results on this question were extremely positive for the school district. And we'll get to the graph in a few. But if you If you go down to survey question 2, 3 of 5, in the header, you see two red bars. These were the two areas that the stakeholders, and just a reminder about the stakeholders, this is a snapshot, just like when a student takes a test. And these are not all your stakeholders, these are the stakeholders that responded approximately 450, on this one given day when they took this 7-minute to 10-minute survey. The two areas that caught our eye, and it'll catch your eye in the graph too. The district is transparent with its communications. Now, we know you have a very sophisticated communication department who, from our perception, does an excellent job. And so I think you got to go deeper when you look at that, at the comment. Not that there's a lack of communication and so on, but there's questions that stakeholders have where they want more information about decisions that were made and so on. And then 14, the district is financially responsible. Our assumption when you pull that together with the qualitative data feedback that we receive from the stakeholders, you've had two significant cost factors in the last year, and I think they're pointing to those right now would be our assumption. On page 4 of 5 for question 2, you see the 3 green areas, 17, 19, and 20, where the school district is extremely high in these areas. The district's technology infrastructure is sufficient to support the use technology in the learning environment. The district is a safe school district, which is always great to hear. And then your highest score from these participants in this survey was the district provides ample extracurricular activity, which you probably know. And I think that was just about the 90%. If you go to survey question 2, 5 of 5, you get the color chart, and those 5 questions are highlighted. The chart, there's a lot of data there. Questions are listed on the left, and the higher, the bars go to the right, the greater the score. So you can see the extracurricular number 9, the safe school number 19 is right at the 90th percent. So those are the 3 up on top, and then you can see the 2 over to the left are lower than 50%, where they felt strongly agree. So more than 50% of these stakeholders that participated disagreed or strongly disagreed in those two areas. In question 3, we gave them 12 statements about qualities, characteristics, talent, skills of a superintendent. So give us your top 4. Now, all the statements that are listed you would want in a superintendent, trying to force them to tell us really what we want to hear, and we didn't really get a significant difference. They were pretty well balanced, but you can see the top 4 and a theme is starting to provide transparent communication. So the next superintendent, foster a positive professional climate of mutual trust and respect amongst staff. Number 8 and number 12, 8, recruit, employ, retain effective personnel in the school district. And the last, number 12, is be visible throughout the school district and actively engage with your different stakeholders. You can see the percentages next to those green, 46, 51, 45, which, and we'll show you the raw data at a later date. It isn't a significant difference, but those are the 4 that gravitated to the top. The last question we asked, how likely is it that you would recommend the school district to a friend or colleague? this is the area that you need to focus on. Right now, probably because of recent events and so on, there's a concern in the community by the ones that participated in the survey. You can see the distractors, the ones that wouldn't, 40%, and then the ones that would jump up and down and say, yeah, you gotta go to school. In Sycamore School District, it was about 25%. And so you need to look, with your next superintendent, opportunities to push that needle to where it needs to be. Keep in mind, 450 stakeholders, their feedback is important and so on. It's a one-day snapshot of about 5% of the potential people that could have taken this survey.
So the qualitative, then moving over to the qualitative piece of our analysis, this really kind of provides context of some of the survey data and then some. When we presented to you, we told you that this won't only provide insights into what sort of leadership you need next, but this also provides you with some insights into your strategic position. So we gave you everything we heard because we think you can take a lot of this data and use it to inform you in a lot of the strategic decisions that you have to make. And not only that, but also the strategic decisions that the next leader has to take as well. So it's twofold.
Can I just clarify? We are giving you everything we heard, but we did hear some one-offs.
We did.
So when we hear one-offs, they won't make it into the report. We'll share those with you and so on. But when there's an outlier over here or over there, it doesn't really qualify to get in.
And when I use qualitative procedures and research procedures to actually code, a lot of the same things are happening, but it's happening through different perspectives using different kind of lenses. And so we summarize it through the aggregate level. And then just to also say, every single stakeholder was kind and their heart in the right place, even some that came more spirited than others, in the end came to a place where it's only because they deeply care. So you should be really proud of, and we want to thank all the stakeholders for coming and taking time out of their day. The elementary school teachers got up very early to meet us because we met them before their school day. And then we are meeting some of the stakeholders after their school day. And then, as you know, because a lot of your community members are teachers and our parents, they not only came to some of their building meetings, but they also came and saw us at the parent/community meeting. But they came through with their parent hat on. But again, everybody was respectful and kind. We also, under your direction, we had a very nice conversation with the union leadership as well. And so those perspectives are also captured in this report.
Even with their criticism of the school district, it was done in an extremely respectful and positive manner, which we appreciate. So we were really pleased with the feedback that we got from all the different stakeholders.
So some of these things are not going to be a surprise, but we loved that. Carrie and I appreciated the statement, whatever it takes. We heard that over and over again. It runs deep throughout the entire district and the community, very tight-knit, and really everybody wanting to take this opportunity to really move the district forward. And even though there are, many of them went right to opportunities, those always to continue to move forward. And all we engaged with, they really appreciated working here. Obviously, there's neighboring districts that pay more in salary as well, but they choose here because of just the community and their experience here. Committed staff with long tenure, you know that, and really engaged, healthy students who are really doing great things. And Carrie and I had the opportunity to meet with them as well. Again, community pride, staff that live and work here. And so the school district is an extension of your community. And your next leader has to understand that. It's not just leading the school district, but also becomes a prominent and has executive presence in the community as well, and a true partnership. And then passion, as I said before, that we could feel it and hear it. Even when there was some gaps and some opportunities that were being expressed, it came through with passion because people deeply cared. And then, so those are the strengths. And that's hard to, you have a community and you have that close-knit community. That is already there. To be able to bring in a leader to take that and then take you to the next level is a tremendous opportunity. So Carrie and I then talked about opportunities. And these are the trends. So operational excellence with financial fidelity and accountability. And so many of the stakeholders talked about lack of and this, you'll hear this over and over again, which I think also creates context with the transparency and the communication. It's not that you're not communicating and you're not being transparent. It's that there are no tools to be able to communicate some of the things you're doing. You don't have a district-wide performance dashboard where you are highlighting your fiscal metrics and your academic metrics. We're going to talk about this. If there is an academic plan, it's not a clear plan. And I think that's where some of the, you might have some gaps. Everybody wanting to optimize resources differently and really advance, you have an evaluation calendar that you put in place. And we know that's in that infant stage, but being able to advance that, and then those evaluation policies and procedures going all the way down to the staff level. We call that performance management. Where the district goals, then you will see a very clear alignment that goes all the way down to the individual staff member. And every single stakeholder said they want accountability. They want more accountability. They want more structure. They want more clarity. And so you're going to hear those terms over and over again. Structure and leadership, again, align the district structure to meet the current student demographics, talents, and realities. Your student population is changing. Students are changing. Their needs are changing. The community is having different needs. And you may have some resources or structures in place that maybe need to be relooked at to be able to really meet the current reality. And that's kind of all over the board. And also being able to bring the right talent in to then match the student demographics that are changing. There's a lot that your teachers and your paras, they see it most because they're the first, they're that first line. They see how those student demographics are changing. That is sometimes hidden, and sometimes part of the community wants to turn the other way. But there's definitely some needs, the neurodiverse needs, the student support needs that almost all the stakeholders talked about, that they feel they're under-resourced.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to turn the other way. I think one of the principals did a nice job sharing, and he says, my school's very, very interesting. We have the haves and the have-nots, and some of the haves really don't see the have-nots. It's not because they don't want to. I mean, they go on with their lives and so on. And if you would ask them, how many have-nots, what's the percentage of kids that have needs there, they would probably get the answer wrong. And so they still view it in a much more homogeneous way, probably like it was 10 years ago.
And it just needs leadership that really can understand or be empathized to what has to happen and then adjust talent accordingly. Shift from, and all know what this means in this room, a shift from sycamore nice to sycamore clear. You can be nice, but that niceness is getting in the way of accountability and objectability. And so there are a lot of concerns that because of the closeness, that a lot of the leader groups all over the district cannot be objective. Because because there is so much, because it's so tight knit, and you have family members and staff and relatives all working and living together. And so you can still be empathetic and nice, but you have to be clear with accountability. And that's what all the stakeholders would like, more objectivity throughout all the leadership levels. And again, clarity. Continue to strengthen the policies and the procedures. I know you're working really hard at that. Define roles from the board all the way down to the staff, so everybody does know their role. You've done a really nice job with the new committee structure that you'll see in a lot of boards, a lot of high-functioning boards. And so continue to build upon that structure as a pathway to excellence in governance. And then, a lot of your stakeholders talked about the balancing act. You have high academics, you need to continue to push high academic standards, you need to continue to retain and top talent, and exceptional, but you have to have exceptional student support, right? So you can no longer, it has to be the education of the whole child, and we heard that from particularly the building principals. And I know you're working on this, but a building principal sometimes is pulled out of their role only because they are the only ones that have to deal with crises. So they're dealing with crises. And so realizing that to be able to advance the whole child, that you may need to look at some of those supports. You all know this, rising costs with competitive salaries and facility needs. Being able, a leader who has done that in the past and has had success. Continue to explore how to reach more families and community members in an era of too much information. And then, again, the shifting demographics that require Sycamore to align, and again, programmatically, at the building level, the staff level, and the structure. So those are some of the opportunities. What we thought we'd do now is kind of, as we went into each stakeholder group, kind of also provide you a picture. You'll see some alignment, you'll see some but we wanted to kind of also give each stakeholder kind of some of their insights. From the staff and the teachers, they really want a desire of a more formal curriculum cycle. It is not formal right now, it is not clear. And that lack is causing some confusion and inconsistency. We were told multiple times that it is not the same student experience pending what elementary school you go to. And so that experience is not consistent. And so when the students get to the middle school, they know what school the students went to, because those students are not having that experience. They know that each school has unique needs, but in terms of academics and social and support, it should be more consistent. The teachers are, and again, a lot of it, a leader who follows through, right? A leader who you don't stop and start, and then you have some broken promises, and then there's never any follow through. That creates burnout and frustration at all levels of the staff when when something's happening and then it stops.
Yeah, and so I don't think they're broken promises. I think. And
Follow through. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we did this and we check it off, and then we put it over here, and then we go into the next one and we accomplish that, check it off, and put it over here. So once you do it once, it's established. Portrait of a graduate or portrait of a Spartan. It's done, check it off, but do we go back and do we actually use that to the level that we should? And so that was their concern. Not that they felt,
they wanted more follow through.
Yeah.
A lot of starts and stops.
Yeah.
You're going to hear this over and over again, and I actually gave this a whole slide at the end. Just a lack of a shared vision. And I think that's where the communication and the transparency is coming from, is that due to this misalignment, because if there's a lack of a clear vision and direction, it's impacting how collectively everyone fits into that shared vision. And so that was expressed in multiple ways. Again, advancing the right balance between social and emotional learning and academics. And then, we talked about a lot of perception versus reality. A lot of your the stakeholders noted a gap between the paper and the realities, between the videos and what's actually happening day to day. And so really kind of looking at that, a fancy video that if you have your stakeholders that can't connect with that and that's not their reality, you might have we heard that over and over again. Working here was once the dream, and everybody wants to get that back to that place. And so everybody wants, it's all hands in, and I think you have an incredible community that is willing to get it back to where it continues to be. Opportunities and operational effectiveness, some building assignments, why there's shifts, internal posting, communication, teachers have to get back to their students in 24 hours. Everybody in the district should have, if that's the case on the teacher side, that should be accountability on everybody's side in the district. And then again, operational efficiency, opportunities, desire to have the right people in the right places. And then, this, the buildings are a concern. You have some old buildings and you have some building needs as well. And you know that, particularly at the high school, that's when you look at a lot of the area high schools and you look at the high school. Culture of, I thought, and this is, I thought it was, I took this verbatim because you had a lot of agreement on this statement. You had a lot of stakeholders in the room. It appears that we're okay with being okay, and that's not okay. So we play school. And so teachers wanting more, teachers wanting to be more accountable, teachers believing their students need more, and being able to have a leader that has that same level of expectations. A desire in terms of professional development and collaboration, had some very robust conversations around vertical and horizontal articulation. Again, that goes back to a formal curriculum cycle that is very important in a unit school district, is to have that. I'm sure you've heard these terms over and over again, vertical and horizontal articulation. And lastly, really wanting the district office to be seen as a resource hub that supports and you grow together. Not that, with them, for them, by them. It's a collaborative team process, and that everybody grows and moves forward together. On the parent side, again, we heard it over and over again, community members calling for higher expectations. Potentially, your experts, your principals and your staff will have to look into this, but they wanted to know why the high school credits were lower than some of the other area school districts, and why that was the case in an era where, standards should be higher. A need in teacher and staff diversity to better represent the demographics of the student population. And then again, support that also mirrors the student demographics, poverty supports, things like that. But we heard that again from the parent community. And again, identified a lack of clarity and vision, both academically and at the building level. And this is kind of what Carrie was talking about, profile of Spartan, check, put it down. It's viewed as a one-time exercise and they don't relate to it. Some feedback. Again, inconsistency across the schools. The community wants courage, to lead from courage. They want courage, someone who's brave, somebody who can make those hard decisions. Nowhere was anybody advocating for that next shiny object. Instead, they just wanted a leader who saw who they were, and they can move together with a clear, unified direction. Really wanting to bring back, they called it leading from the middle, or the powerful middle. Being able to lift up some of those key academic positions that are in middle leadership, like our instructional coaches and some of those other things. There seems to be some pilots and some good efforts that are going on. And so being able to potentially maybe look at a structure where that middle is being empowered and can be seen as a connector through levels of the district. And then the community, personalized, wants the district to meet the kids where they're at. Trust came about, and I think Carrie talked about this, some of those bigger decisions that had to be made, a leader who can be trusted. And every stakeholder group said, we know that, you can't agree with everything, but they want to know why. They want a leader that is strong enough and brave enough to say, this decision had to be made, but this is why this decision had to be made. Am I articulating that?
It is, and then without that justification or that background, then there's a lot of assumptions that are made. And the assumptions are typically way more extreme than the actual justification or need to make that decision. So.
Yeah. They want somebody who's visible, someone who's present and engaged. You know that. You're going to have to be seen out in the community, and you're a community leader as well. And one who governs effectively across all the levels and the stakeholders. Governance, your community members wanted some strong governance due to the tenure of the board, the current board, fiscal responsibility, and the board to maintain objective relationship with all stakeholders. So that was some of the feedback from the community. And the community sees opportunities to start fresh and rebuild some of the misunderstandings and to reset the relationships to create a stronger foundation moving forward. And this is why I wanted to, there's a tremendous opportunity to articulate and strengthen a shared vision. And so a new leader that has experience and capacity leading a larger district, a unit district, and someone who has been able to get all the stakeholders to understand this shared vision with clarity. And as stakeholders have noted, that clearly defined direction would align everybody's understanding, because we think right now there is some misunderstandings in some of the stakeholder groups, and you have some, it's fragmented, but I think it's fragmented because of a lack of a clear vision. And a leader who can move forward a shared vision could be extremely powerful to bring together a collective vision and advance that forward.
Are you going to share what the one teacher shared?
Yeah,
Give the
and
best example?
Yeah, I think this is one of the teachers, as teachers always do, they have wonderful examples. When you pour a sidewalk, you pour in the footings,
Okay.
right? You have and they're not there. The footings aren't there. And so therefore, like the cement.
The frame of the sidewalk.
Frame of the
You're pouring
sidewalk.
concrete,
The
the
footings.
frame of the sidewalk.
So right now, that concrete is spilling all over the place. And that needs to be brought back. So that clear vision, and again, that goes back to the academic dashboard. That goes back to, performance management, where everything is clear, simple, aligned, and then you can articulate, and therefore you have transparency.
So you have everybody working hard. It's just they're not all working hard within the same focus. And it's spilling over that concrete, and so you're not maximizing your collective efforts right now.
Yeah, and you have
That's what we heard.
stakeholders that are willing to be part of that very clear aligned vision. So you don't have an issue there, but it's just putting that vision in place. So a leader that has experience being able to bring clarity and a shared vision throughout the entire district and the community, which is an important part of your stakeholders. The students were amazing and wonderful and lovely. And they were polite and respectful and well-adjusted. They stayed extra because they wanted to share some things. They were so excited about their post-secondary goals. They were openly and genuinely appreciative of all the preparation that they received, and they genuinely like their teachers and coaches, and they feel safe. And that's really important. So congratulations on all of that. Those are not easy metrics to achieve. Talk to them about their classroom. You know, again, these are students. They recognize that they're good people in the building, but not all of them are good teachers. So they want classroom time to be better used for learning. They want their teachers to be more efficient in the classroom. And to be professional role models and not necessarily friends, but collegial and professional. When they talked about learning preferences, they don't know what the rules are on AI, and I'm sure you're probably grappling with AI procedures and policies right now. But the students want some rules and guidelines around it too. They appreciate the 24-hour email response window. They feel respected by that. And they want to be able to apply their learning. And again, they want to move away from memorization and rote, and they want to, and they're asking, they did say this, we had wrote it down, they're asking for more accountability. So Carrie and I both thoroughly enjoyed your students. And that's the hard work of everybody in this room and everybody, because that's why everybody does what they do. So lastly, we'll talk about an executive skills profile. So we'll put these skills in we'll update the posting. And so leadership, presence, and style, strong executive presence with proven servant leadership. Over and over again, servant leadership, you serve others, you serve others. Inspires confidence, but also leads with empathy. And that is also something that's unique to Sycamore, because it's a close. The stakeholders talked about, when, they just don't want leaders to come into a building and just do it because it's a show or a video is being played. They truly want to connect with their leader. They want the leader to come into their classrooms. They want the leader to know their names. They want them to know what they do outside of the classroom. So they want to know a leader who knows the staff deeply and is just not surface. And Carrie and I, as we talked to you about, will have an emotional intelligence assessment. And so we call that EQ in the executive leadership world. And has the courage to make the hard decisions and push back when necessary. And so they do not want a yes person. They want someone who's brave in courage and pushes back, particularly and especially what's best for kids. Accountability and clarity holds everybody accountable with objectivity, provides clear direction and explains the why, even if it's unpopular, and brings clarity to complexity. That is an art, and you are going to need a leader who knows how to do that and has proven to do that. Because school systems are complex, but you can also be very clear. Strategic and operational expertise, fiscally and operationally sound with large district or scale experience, strong in governance policy and procedures, data and technically proficient, and a track record of moving a unified vision forward. And strong instructional background that grounds decisions in what's best for students. And then team, district, leadership, builds strong teams and knows how to position talent, leads both the district and the community as one, has the entire district's backs while maintaining high standards, and highly competent leader who earns trust through action. Your stakeholders want action. They don't want talk. They want action, and they want to see strong leadership through action. So we can leave this for open discussion. But moving forward, we'll take these core competencies and skills and update the posting. I'll share it with Michael. On the posting right now, it says it'll be updated at a special board meeting on September 30th. So Carrie and I have gotten, we've had candidates contact us already, and they're waiting for that profile to be adjusted. So once that happens, and we have your blessing tonight, we'll go into aggressive recruiting. And you won't hear from us for a while. We'll keep little updates here and there, but we'll really go 6 weeks into aggressive and purposeful recruiting.
Yeah, September was feedback. October and the first part of November, we go after the candidates.
Yeah, and then we'll have weekly. Michael has been receiving weekly updates, and I know he's done a wonderful job of updating all of you on those. We'll let you know how it's going. If we're not happy with the candidate pool, we'll communicate that with you sooner than later. Tentatively, we have November 5th scheduled with you, I believe. Is that correct? Or the 8th? The 8th, yeah. Yeah, the 8th. Thank you.
He's got to memorize that.
I know. Thank you,
That's your
Alex.
highlight on the calendar for November.
It's like it's in my head. To be able to present the first slate, but if we will continue to communicate with you on that.
And we've gotten some interest just with the posting that we put out there. So we have some candidates have been reaching out to us, emailing us, calling us. So that's a great start.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is very insightful. A lot of good information here. I'm glad that everything that you guys were able to compile was summative to profile, like the synopsis at the end of the executive skill profile. So I think that's really useful to have.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of future agenda items that come out of this survey, not even related to a new superintendent. Obviously, it's going to be extremely useful to find a new superintendent, but there are so many things in here that need to be on our radar next month, the month after. Do you want? I've got ideas for future agenda items, almost 2 or 3 per page. Is that something you want me to just email you as we go forward? And then maybe the next regular meeting, we can unpack a lot of these. It's like the crisis response. I'm thinking SROs, more SROs pop to mind, or the E through 5 buildings. I just heard a lot about inconsistency. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but like a way, just to look at that. There's just so much on here. The high school credits. So you want to just feature agenda item, send it an email.
So Cole, I think you're spot on with that. I would be careful not to look at them individually, but more collectively. And you might want to just, unless there's something that's burning, you might want to involve your new leader in the bigger decisions. Our goal is to get you a very talented and experienced individual that you could take full advantage of. Now, some of the things you might assess need to be addressed right away, and of course, do that. But some of them, you might want to wait for your new leader, and you might want to look as a whole and then prioritize within.
And you're in a wonderful position because the goal is to have somebody by January, and so that transition starts right away. I don't know. I can't remember last time the strategic plan was updated. Do you remember, Alan? But
I don't
that,
know.
you know,
Well,
that
what
is
the best
typically.
strategic plan? Again, that's
There's
been
some
a whole.
opportunity.
We set goals last year.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of room for improvement in the process, in my opinion, as Alan and I were on the committee that developed the goals with staff. I think there's a lot of room for improvement in the process and communicating, like we touched on, what the goals are, why they are what they are.
Yeah.
And get more feedback from staff and the community.
So more broadly, like
yeah.
it's stated here, a little bit
Yeah.
longer term vision,
Yes.
communicating that to the public. Making
And I
sure
think
that-
that's what's causing the fragmentation is just, you know, and a lot of districts do, I mean, they, you know, it's a challenge.
Sure.
You know, and keeping that, having a leader who realizes that for Sycamore, you want a clear vision. A clear version that is clear. And, you know, nothing was fancy. They, you know, no one asked for fancy technology. I mean, it was just really wanting to be held accountable and best serve.
You have a lot of good attitudes, you have a lot of
Wonderful
people working very, very hard, you have all the pieces to truly move Sycamore forward in a very positive way.
It seemed as though a lot of the responses were nostalgic for what used to be. There was a lot of calling back to getting us back to where we were. It was a great place. Is it now? Is that something that you guys saw when you talked to people or heard about?
Well, I think it's twofold. I mean, you're a different school district now than you were 10 years ago, than you were 25 years ago. There are components, though, of the Sycamore School District 10 years ago, 25, that you would like to still see, but you also have to meet some needs that weren't there in yesteryear.
I think it'll be good to get some additional context over time, maybe with the new legal like you described, but really trying to understand. There's some really strong statements in here that are very helpful, but directionally they're helpful, but how do we get to the
Right, how do you operationalize them?
So I think
Yeah.
there'll be some good discussion. How is the racial profile utilized? And is it just utilized to develop the job description, or is it part of the job description? Are those candidates going to be able to see this, or we readily provide that to them so they get a window?
We use the core competencies.
Okay.
They have to, the application process has to show evidence and evidence of the core competencies.
Mhm.
And they have to have been successful in those core competencies.
Sure.
And then they also have to be able to possess those executive leadership skills
Mhm.
and show evidence in those. And so we talked to you about the fact that we're having them create, put together a portfolio. And it's through that we use that, you know, as part of their portfolio, and then we use it as part of their screening process.
Okay.
So we just don't go to you, Ellen, and say, you know, or, how are you at school finance? You say,
Right.
I'm good. Like, all right, check. And or when we're talking to your formal references or informal references and so on, we need to see evidence before we give you a check on that area.
And they have to, you know, they have to show competency and experience in those. And then it'll be part of your interview process as well. So they'll have to walk you through that so you can see it as well. We're not the only ones that'll see the portfolio. You will see the portfolio as well.
Great. But I think it's important, I mean, an interview goes two ways, right? So it's important for I think those applicants to see what's the community that they might be coming into as well. And just so that everybody's transparent into what are we looking for and what do we hope to see in you. So I'm sure they can see this if they have minutes or find it there as well, but I think this is good information for all to be involved.
Well, we're not bringing the best superintendent forward. We're trying to find a superintendent that you need right now for this particular time. And you do have some specific needs.
Certainly.
And so, a leader that can meet those needs.
We should also share that, and we didn't put it in a report here, that many of the stakeholders groups referenced the last time you hired a superintendent, the board, school district, and there was a level of participation from other stakeholders in that process. And what we share with the board is
Oh,
that,
yeah.
we recommended to you to do a confidential search to begin with, and then we explained why. And then we said we'd have a conversation with you after the first round of interviews and see where we're at with the candidates, where you are at as a board. So that is a question that we should be talking about after that first round
Yeah.
of interviews.
And we'll also talk to the candidates. There's conversations that we'll have with the candidates when we'll have one-on-one interviews with the candidates.
And we reinforce with each stakeholder group that this is the board's decision. This is the most important, we believe this is the most important decision a board makes is selecting your educational leaders. We want to make sure everybody knows whose responsibility is. But we also said, we believe the reason you came to us, HYA, rather than a different firm is because we think we do it very well, reached out to the stakeholders, and you value their thoughts, their opinions, and their ideas.
And just to be clear, you're suggesting we consider at a future date a discussion of a community interview or something of that sense? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, is there a place? And it depends on the final candidates that you're looking at and other variables, some extraneous, that is there an opportunity and would it be beneficial for the process to include other stakeholders? You've already done a very comprehensive way to get their involvement, but will there be another opportunity that you can take advantage of as a board?
They were all really, we took time to explain the process with them, and they were appreciative of that. And when we talked to them about kind of the current state of the state, they understood why it had to be confidential at a certain point in time. They understood that.
I think I just want to underscore one of the comments from the strengths was like whatever it takes. And that kind of resonates really with me because I truly believe this board will do whatever it takes to get the best possible candidate for Sycamore. So I'll be eager to hear, what we get from a candidate pool piece and from what information, you can bring us. That way we can make the most informed decision so we can, again, do whatever it takes to get the best. So I'm really excited about some of these strengths listed and again, some of these profile pieces. I hope that this person's out there because this seems like a tall order. But I'm committed, again, to, like I said, as many and as much as we need to do to get there. And this is great because I think at a high level now we know at least, we know what's wanted, we know what to look for. So again, to your point about like what the next stage looks like, I think turning to your expertise and judgment in terms of what candidate pool we look at, and then in terms of what the confidentiality versus alternatives looks like is going to be really a helpful guiding point that I hope we can lean into on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just have some questions about when will we see the dashboard? When will we get access to that, the HYA dashboard to see the candidates?
Oh, the portal?
The portal?
Yeah, we'll probably 2 weeks into recruiting,
Okay,
we'll open that up and give you instructions on how to access that.
okay. And then based on this package, which I think we all very much appreciate,
Yes, very much.
should we use this to modify the superintendent's job description, their contract? Like, I guess my concern or a little confusion is we've got the HYA indicators of what we're looking for, but then the board has its job description for the superintendent. I did some work trying to reconcile the two so that the I think they were called qualifications that HYA posted match what our job description has. But I think there might be some room to collaborate on that or ensure that we're all looking for the same thing. I'm not sure. Michael, we're going to closed session and we can add 2C1 so we can talk about personnel. But is that something you would suggest we do with this, is take a look at our job description?
Not at this time.
Okay, I guess just the process for that.
Yeah, not at this time. We can talk later in the process after you start looking at candidates as well. And your president is right. This is a very high ask here. But you're no different. Your stakeholders, you and your stakeholders, are no different than any other school district we work with. I mean, and I was a superintendent for 15 years, and if it was my first year and I saw something, I would be scared to death to be a super. This is a lot, and so on. And so this is a measuring stick, and there's no perfect superintendent out there. There's no perfect superintendent for you. You need to find one, and that's why you hired us, to best meet your needs, and then you have to project how that person's gonna grow into the position in 1 year and in 2 years and so on. So, but with the job description, I would hold off on, and then let's go a little further in the process. And then Alex, ask the question again, okay?
Okay, so we're not posting the job description when we post the.
Correct,
the-
right, no, just the posting.
The
Yeah.
profile, they're separate, they're completely separate documents, okay.
Now, we will, and you know this, when we get to the final candidate, we'll have input on what that contract looks like.
Yeah, and the job description's in the.
And that's where
appendix to
some,
the
yeah, that's where
contract, so
some
yeah,
of
we'll
it,
need-
so the,
And contracts are negotiable.
yep,
Yeah.
And,
so all
and,
that's
and
negotiable.
superintendents, especially experienced ones, are not shy. And so, we built into the time, the schedule, a period of time. Once you select somebody, you have to secure the deal. You get them to agree and for you to agree, and so there's a period of time where that negotiation goes out. And I'm not just talking about money. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen during that small period of time.
You've done some really nice work in the terms of the evaluation cycle and that process, so that'll be really helpful too. So if you remember, also as part of our services is that governance workshop, and some of that could be part of that agenda.
What level of support can we expect from your group for the facility or facilitating the negotiation process?
So we're happy to work with you and support you behind the scenes. We recommend, as a board, you set your parameters, and then you use your legal resource to work with their legal resource.
And do we negotiate that publicly?
No.
Why wouldn't we negotiate that publicly?
You can. I wouldn't. I don't think the superintendent candidate would want to do that.
Why do superintendents not want to negotiate their contracts publicly?
Because everybody doesn't have the same base of information. And so I think we shared with you when we first met, some states have sunshine laws that all interviews, everything is broadcast all the way through. In Illinois, we have sunshine laws as well, but not to that extreme. I think you would have some challenges because that would be unique compared to just about any other school district in Illinois to negotiate. You negotiate a teacher contract, right? And so does most of the school districts in the state. You could do the same thing with that. I don't know if everybody would be jumping up and down for that.
Can you just a light glaze over what that negotiation process typically looks like, the one that happens behind closed doors?
So, and I would recommend that it doesn't happen between the board and the superintendent directly. Because this is gonna be your number one employee. This is gonna be a member of the team of 8. And negotiations are sometimes, it's sensitive. And so you use a third party, somebody who's done it before. I don't know how much experience you have on the board negotiating
So,
superintendent contract, but your legal probably has more,
definitely.
and they understand the legalities that what needs to be done contained with that. The superintendent candidate's gonna be represented legally as well. And they typically use the Illinois Association of School Administrators attorney, or they could use a private attorney as well. That superintendent candidate's gonna set parameters for their representative, you're gonna set parameters for your legal, and those two will work it out and report back to their respective parties. And then the level of personalities doesn't get involved,
Right.
because you need to start off on
Really
a
good.
good foot, you know, with your new educational leader, and you want to build that solid foundation. And you don't want any baggage to develop through a negotiation process. And that's why we recommend you use your legal counsel. You don't have to take a recommendation. You can,
No, I think that's a great recommendation.
you could work with
Yes.
them. They'll probably still use an attorney,
Mhm.
because this is their livelihood.
What if we go through this process and the superintendent asks for too much? Millions.
Well,
What do we do?
that's where we come in. So, we're gonna work, you gave us a range,
Gave
and
us
it's
a
a
range.
soft range right now. And we're gonna be working with each candidate intensely, especially as they start getting closer and closer to being on our slate. And our goal is that we don't have that mismatch
Oh,
at the end. If we have a mismatch and they want $50,000 more
Mhm.
than your highest point, throw us out of the room and say you
and we're
didn't do
not
your
doing our
job
job.
each way, because,
you help us in a situation.
oh,
like
absolutely.
that. Is that common? Does that happen a lot?
Not at HYA.
Okay.
I can't speak to other firms, and so we really take care of the individual candidate, and we do our best to make them commit, if we put them on the final slate, that they're all in on Sycamore.
And these candidates, they're usually already working at another school district in a lot of cases, and their contracts are
Probably
coming up.
90+% are, but keep in mind that you're not the only opening
Right.
out there. And
How do
so,
they get out of those contracts, though? If they're already working at a school district?
again, negotiations,
Mhm.
you know, you negotiate out of a contract, you mutually agree to dissolve the contract. Some contracts have clauses where the superintendent leaves, you know, year 2 of a 5-year contract, they pay back X amount of dollars.
So that happens a lot, you're saying?
20% of the superintendent's turnover
Wow.
every year in the state of Illinois. But what I was gonna say, Michael, is that, you know, it's gonna be a rare candidate that's only gonna be applying for Sycamore.
Right, no, that makes perfect
So,
sense.
so you're in competition.
Of
You're gonna
course.
be in competition with like school districts. But that's fine.
And you're like you said, you're vying, and they have multiple offers.
So, you know, we have to look at, when we give you a slate, and say it's 4 candidates or 5 candidates, whatever, you know, the pool allows, we're gonna guarantee that any of the 4 or 5 or 6 candidates will be a successful superintendent to you, based on the guarantees in our contract. Cause it isn't, doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. You get down to the final 2 or 3, and you know, we're trying to stay abreast and know everything that candidate's doing. If they're applying, competing in another school district, they wouldn't be in another HYA search, but they could be with another firm or the school board association. And if somebody pulls the trigger before you do and says, you know, here's X amount of dollars, here's a contract, we want you as a superintendent, So Lynn and I will do our best to measure each candidate that we're seriously considering to recommend to you and that you're seriously considering for your position,
None of
because
this happens publicly, is what you're saying, because it compromises the ability to do it effectively. Is that my
it
understanding?
hinders it.
And we don't get the best candidate, we don't maybe get a good deal.
Yeah.
All this, that's interesting.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of an art to it, but you have to keep an open mind that these individuals, we're selling the school district
Sure.
as much as they're selling themselves to you. And to get through all the sales, I mean, we're trying to find the fit. Lynn and I are trying to find that ideal fit on both ends.
Well, this is very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, good questions.
Yeah, really good question.
I think people need to know the answers to those questions.
Didn't sit up to the top here. When you were here last, you asked about geographic position of the superintendent to Sycamore.
Yeah.
Was that just not
Excellent,
important,
thank
other
you,
than just
Alan.
involvement?
We asked that question. We said that the board was very interested in getting feedback and you had not made a decision yet. We appropriately noted that on the posting it said preferred. And almost all your stakeholders thought that was fine. Now, you did have a group of stakeholders that absolutely wanted to be in the community. That was your community stakeholder group, said yes, they need to be in the community. But the rest of them were pretty liberal about it. The surrounding area.
It looks like resoundingly, though, each of the stakeholder groups wanted a strong presence.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. That was what was most important, rather than living here, if you didn't have that presence. Now granted, they did talk about the fact that, you can't be commuting 3 hours or something like that. Because we explained to them it's a 24-hour job. And a unit school district is a 24/7 job.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I would suggest, I think as a board, we need to set a salary or compensation range. I've given numbers, but I don't think collectively we've done that.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. So at the slate, so as you know, the state of Illinois, you have to post
Yeah,
a minimum.
and we agreed to
So,
that,
yeah,
but
and
we don't
we
have- but we
will
haven't-
be coming with you with an analysis. So
Okay.
I actually have that initial analysis.
Perfect.
And
And we'll also look at what they're,
yeah, we'll see, we'll give you some insight in terms of that.
yeah,
as
so,
well.
so if we present a slate to you and one person's making this and one person's making that, what's it gonna take if you want this individual, what's it gonna take for you to get that person? Are they gonna take a pay cut? Are they gonna stay the same? But if you set a range and somebody's way down here, you might not need to spend this much like you were gonna get for this candidate. So you might have to take a look at it in a way where it's more individual to the candidates, right now, and then we'll be working with them on our end, and we'll be gathering that information and try to find where their individual range is, which then we'll share that information with you too, when the point, when it comes to considering to offer, and then what you're gonna offer them. Because you don't wanna pay somebody too much, and you don't wanna offer somebody not enough and not be able to get them.
So we look at the salary, once we get the slate, it's not something you need direction now, like, we do not wanna go above X dollars.
That would be helpful.
That's what I'm saying, I think we should maybe do that.
It'll be
Because we
useful
have-
though to have the market analysis to be able to.
Yeah,
set
and
those-
you might
those
also maybe just exhibit a little bit of patience, because when they present their core competencies and you see that, so it's kind of it's a process I think you should take your time with.
So trust your timeline.
Yes, yeah, just kind of, yeah. Because there's things you can also do in the contract that you can also, like Carrie said, it's an art. And
Yeah.
this is why you hired us to do that.
Yeah, and we'll get to know the needs of the individual candidates and where compensation is important. They might have some other things that they would need in that contract that could also be valuable to them.
Might be
Did you-
non-pecuniary. You don't know
Yeah.
what's important to each of those. It may not always be pecuniary, It may not always be salary.
Salary will be there. Don't get-
Salary will be there,
Don't get us
yes.
wrong, salary will be there, but you might not have to move the needle on salary if you're able to address possibly some
Something
other.
else based on, you know, what's important to
So
them.
I guess when you vet, will you gather that information, or is that the board that will,
No,
when we interview them, we need to
No,
probe
we'll
that?
We
get-
will,
we'll
when
get
we
it for you,
present the
Alex.
first slate, we will present to you an entire profile that includes that information. So we take that meeting, the 8th, will be a very long meeting. Because we go through each of the slate of candidates and we talk about their profile and we share with you the discussions.
And we can look at it, we'll look at it in advance though of the 8th with the portal thing.
Yeah, we
So
have
don't
we
to
have a
sit-
deadline of the
Yeah.
31st, I believe, of October. And then we've given some time to kind of get those profiles together.
Likes, dislikes,
Yeah.
water signs.
And superintendents, just like students, sometimes, you know, they like to wait until 11:56 on Halloween to hit submit.
Well, this is great. Thank you. Any other comments, questions on this?
No, thank you.
Thank you for all the time and the diligence. We appreciate
Thank
you.
Our pleasure was all ours.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good,
And
good questions, and
Yeah.
thank you for your,
much peace
The
to
opportunity.
the entire community.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes, yes.
Our next item on the agenda is a brief executive session, and then we'll resume, hopefully in about 15, 20 minutes tops, for one final item on the agenda. So item 6.01, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session under Illinois Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS C1, 2, 6, 8, and 11.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I move to amend to 5 ILCS 120, subsection 2, C1, 2, 6, 8, and 11.
1, 2, 6, 8,
Yeah, we
and
didn't get
11.
the full.
Is there a second on the amendment to the motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I do have discussion.
I'm sorry, I forgot to thank Lauren for all her help and support too. So I totally forgot. She's been amazing. So thank you.
I think motions to amend motions can get a little messy. Would everybody be amenable to just voting no to the amendment and then no to the motion? And then if we want to restate the motion to go into executive session, just clean slate it? Or if people want to vote yes on this amendment and so on and so forth, that's all right too. But
There's 2 votes ahead of us regardless now, so, I mean, it's all the same.
Was it clear what the
Do you
amendment
want to restate,
is?
do you just want to restate
Yeah,
your
can I
amended
have that?
motion? Sure, go for it.
So my amendment was to adjourn to executive session under the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, paragraph C1, C2, C6, C8, and C11.
Any other discussion?
This is just for further clarity. That
There's
you're
no
adding this
changes
act-
to the,
There's
yeah.
no changes to what we're
the-
talking.
These are all the
It
same.
wasn't-
Right.
Alex is
I
adding
think that's just good
the
perspective for the
state
future
code.
of, do we need to be that specific? But I'm fine with it. I don't have an issue.
I thought I got guidance that we do.
It's okay.
But
Yeah.
we can talk about, yeah.
So we're good with it?
Okay, my only discussion is I thought we were adding something else in that.
Nothing's
was
been,
included in it.
yeah, it's all the
Okay.
same,
Personnel is included in it.
yeah,
Alright, which I'm
exemptions,
fine,
just
but
a
since
reword to
I-
the full, yeah.
Since I seconded on it, I just wanted to know.
No, that's a good question. All right, Kelly, would you call the roll on the amendment to the motion?
Evans,
Yes.
Grados,
Yes.
Regnery,
no.
Tomlinson,
Yes.
Santu,
Yes.
Koppel,
No.
DeVito,
Yes.
motion.
All right, the motion stands amended. Alex, would you like to restate the motion?
Yes, it is to enter closed session or executive session under the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 122, C1, C2, C6, C8, and C11.
There's a motion amended. Is there a second for the amended motion? We had
Yes,
hosted a,
second.
right, we hosted a
Yes.
second, thank you, yep, we hosted a second. Kelly, would you call the roll?
Grados,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Tomlinson,
Yes.
Santu,
Yes.
Koppel,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Toledo,
Yes.
motion carries.
We'll be back in like 15 minutes. Before, we're now back in open session. The last item on the agenda, item 7.01, approval of working group proposed MOU. Tonight, the board will consider approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Sycamore Education Association regarding health insurance for staff. In recent months, the insurance committee, made up of representatives from across our employee groups, has worked closely with the district's insurance broker and the board to review our district insurance options. All parties have devoted considerable time, effort, and care to identifying the most sustainable path forward, mindful of concerns that come with any change. We're grateful for the collaborative approach in reviewing the options and guiding this transition. In collaboration with the negotiations team of the SEA, the language to be amended removes the low-deductible health plan, leaving the existing HSA plan in place as the district's primary health insurance plan. The SEA leadership hosted a vote of their membership last week, and an overwhelming majority voted to approve this change. Employees moving to the Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO HSA plan will save compared to the current low-deductible option, while keeping the same access to the PPO network. Those already enrolled in the PPO HSA plan will see no change from the migration. Beginning in the upcoming plan year, we will save more than $1.5 million for employees and the districts, savings not reflected in our upcoming budget. Roughly $640,000 of those savings to employee costs and $860,000 of savings to district costs. It should be noted that these are recurring annual savings, not one time. Instead of leaving our district for insurance companies, these dollars will stay with people who make our schools excellent, with the district's share of the savings able to be reinvested in our staff. This MOU shows how fiscal responsibility, good stewardship, and mutual trust can intersect to deliver positive outcomes for all parties. Is there a motion to approve these MOUs?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just want to say thanks to the people who thought about it, and if I'm understanding this correctly, the district will save $860,000 next year. This year, I mean, this fiscal year.
That's this upcoming fiscal year. Yep.
Yeah.
In the most recent approved budget.
Yeah, so in the budget we approved was $860,000 too much accounted for in benefits.
Correct.
So we're saving almost $1 million if we approve this.
Yes.
And then the membership who is on the plan, the ones who switch also are going to realize savings.
Roughly $640,000 in a single year.
Yeah, thanks to whoever figured that out.
Great. Any other discussion? Kelly, would you call the roll?
Christian Koppel,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Grados,
Yes.
Regnery,
Aye.
Tomlinson,
Yes.
Santu,
Yes.
DeVito.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Lene, would you like to sign it? Kelly, have we got the MOUs handy? Thank you for joining us, Lene. We appreciate it. Greg, do you want to stand next to Lene while I sign this with her?
Do I need to sign it too, probably?
Yep, you probably need to sign it.
Want someone can bring it down. Sign it. Do we have assessors?
There's two copies, right?
Was it one assessor?
No, there's a separate one. It's an honor to do this, Lene.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Take you on the podium. Seeing no items on the agenda, this meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.